ಸಂಸಾರದಾವ ನಲಲಿದಲೋಕ ತ್ರಣಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಘನ ಘನಾತ್ವಂ ಸಂಸಾರದಾವ ನಲಲಿದಲೋಕ ತ್ರಣಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಘನ ಘನಾತ್ವಂ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಸ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಗುಣಾರ್ಣವಸ್ಯ ವಂದೇ ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಸ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣವಸ್ಯ ವಂದೇ ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ महाप्रभु कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसोरसेना प्रभु कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकं पाशुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं रोमाञ्चकं पाशुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्जनाधो जनाधो युक्तस्य भक्तांश्च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं युक्तस्य भक्तांश्च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसाद स्वाद्वन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घान् चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसाद स्वाद्वन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घान् तीर्थैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं तीर्थैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्नां माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतिक्षणा स्वाधनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं स्वाधनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं निकुञ्जयूनो रथकेलिसिद्धै यायालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं तत्रातिदक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोया प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान्नगति कुतोऽपि प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान्नगति कुतोऽपि ध्यायं स्तुवं तस्य यस्य स्त्रीसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् सन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् 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 नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya Sudarshan Chakra Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya Sudarshan Chakra Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Simha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jai Om Shinu Pada Pramhamsa Pratikachaya Ashtota Shatashi Shrimad His Divine Grace Abarachana Rinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Bhaktivedanta Institute Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pada Pramhamsa Pratikachaya Ashtota Shatashi Shrimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridasa Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय श्री व्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय श्री अयोध्या धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी देवी की जय समावृत भक्तवृंद की जय हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadayine Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बाहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे नाकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरे नाका अद्भुत शृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे शवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंह जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्ता प्रहलाद जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
नमो नमः।
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha. Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Ye Abhilasi. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Ye Abhilasi. Pavo Ye Abhilasi. Ye Tumhara Sarana Loy Tara Vancha Purana Hoy. Ye Tumhara Sarana Loy Tara Vancha Purana Hoy. Kripa Kori Koro Tare Vrindavana Vasi. Kori Koro Tare Vrindavana Vasi. Muraye Abhilas Vilas Kunje Diyovas. Abhilas Vilas Kunje Diyovas. Nayane Hari Bosada Jugala Ruparasi. Nayane Hari Bosada Jugala Ruparasi. Ye Nivedanadaro Sakiranugata Koro. Seva adhikara diye Koro nijadasi. Dina Krishna dase koi ye namura hoy. Dina Krishna dase koi ye namura hoy. Shri Radha Govinda preme sada ye nabasi. Shri Radha Govinda preme sada ye nabasi. Yani kani cha papani brahmahatyadikani cha tani tani pranasyante pradakshina pade pade. Yani kani cha papani brahmahatyadikani cha tani tani pranasyante pradakshina pade pade. ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ते प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ते प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ते प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Dadev Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai
Within my vision, I shall always behold the beautiful person Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follow a cowherd and soul's virgin. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim in the love Shri Radha and Govinda. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. There are 10 fences in the method of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated life for propagating holy name the Lord. 2. To consider name the demigods, Lord Shiva, Brahma, typical independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuant Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to holy name the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activity on strength of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities, offering the Veda the fruity activities, karma, ganda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about glory of holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachment in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses. In order to quickly achieve desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisance unto all Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as I trees who can fulfill to everyone, and their full compassion, fallen conditioned soul. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Jeto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavakni Nirvapanam Shriya Gairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Pudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnarmita Swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayade Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadeshi Tava Kripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudevami Dishami Hajanina Nuragaha Tulinatapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Hamanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Harihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishware Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tavai Ayinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Man Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Duri Satesham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashuru Daraya Vadanam Gadgada Rudaya Gira Puraka Nichitam Vapurkada Tava Nama Kahane Bhavishati Yuga itam nimishena chakshusha pravisha itam shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name ashrisha va padaratam pindashtumam adarshanam marmhatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidathatu lampato matprananatastu sa eva na paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and distinguishes fire of conditional life for repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is prime benediction for humanity in the large, because it spreads the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which all is anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction to human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, they invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and shall be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of orders. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Samarananda, I am an eternal servitor, yet somehow I fall in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death, and place me at once the Adam the lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up, when hair my body stand and a recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling of separation cause a moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangalacharna prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Desha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhani Videvi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhavin Namaha Madhuryo Jala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktita Shri Gaurakarana Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dina Darine Rupa Nuga Viruta Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Pada Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestvam Nirdishta Sajana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurateshe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinapanto Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surator Pangor Mamamanda Matergati Masarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vindarana Kalpadumadaha Shimadrana Gara Singhasanasto Shimadradha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtari Bi Sevyamano Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsi Vata Tatastitaha Karsham Venusaner Gopir Gopinatha Shiyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Mangalacharna prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Satmasu Kalpaviksha Lakshaviteshu Surabhi Rabi Balayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Brahmasevimanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Venum Kavanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Parharvatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Gantarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Alola Chantaka Lasa Vanamari Vamshi Ranang Kadam Panayakiri Kalavilasam Shamam Tripanga Lalitam Yata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Angani Yasya Sakalindriya Vrittimanti Pashanti Panti Karayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chimmaya Sadhu Chila Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Advaitam Achotam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlapam Adurlapam Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusha Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayuratapi Manaso Munipangavaanam Sopi Astiya Prapadasimya Vachinta Tatve Ekopya Sara Chaitum Jagadanta Kotim Ya Chakti Rasti Jagadanta Jayaya Danta Antantasta Pramanu Chayantarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhaktadiyo Manuchastateva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasanayana Pushaha Sutaryam Eva Nigama Patitaistuvanti Ananda Chimma Sadhu Chiravik Hapi Stabia Evan Jarupa Daya Kalabi Goloka Evan Nivasatya Kilatma Puto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sateva Hita Yeshu Vilokayanti Yam Sham Sundam Achintya Guna Swarupam Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramati Murti Shukran Yamena Tishtan Nana Vatara Makaro Puvanishu Kintu Shda Swayam Samabhava Parama Pumamya Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He is an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes, built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swimming a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyama Sundara is eternally manifest.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of the transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands of millions of years.
He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confident Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shamasundara Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Narsimha, Vamana as his subjective portions.
Alternate extended translation from Bhagavad Gita, purport 7.1. Srinvatam swakata Krishna punya sravana kirtanaha hrudiyanta hito hi abhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam nasta prayesva abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayaschaye चेत एतैर अनावीदं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थे छिद्यन्ते सर्वसमस्याः क्षीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्टा एवात्मनीश्वरे. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies a devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge as he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees. He becomes fixed in the devotion service of the Lord.
By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotion service, and understands the signs of God perfectly.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of Sasamsayam Samagram, understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth Personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the signs of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita 8.15 माम उपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम् अशाश्वतं नाप्नुवन्ति महात्माना संसिद्धिं परमं गतः. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Purport. Since this temporary Mam, me, upetya, achieving, puna, again, janma, birth, dukkhalayam, place of miseries, asaswatam, temporary, na, never, apnuvanti, attain, mahatmanaha, the great soul, samsiddhim, perfection, param, ultimate, gataha, having achieved. Translation. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Purport. Since this temporary world is full of the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death, naturally he who achieves the highest perfection attains the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, Goloka, Vrindavana does not wish to return. The supreme planet is described in Vedic literature as Avyakta and Akshara and Paramagati. In other words, that planet is beyond our material vision and it is inexplicable. But it is the highest goal, the destination for the Mahatmas, great souls. The Mahatmas receive transcendental messages from the realized devotees and thus gradually develop devotional service in Krishna consciousness and become so absorbed in transcendental service that they no longer desire elevation to any of the material planets, nor do they even want to be transferred to any spiritual planet. They only want Krishna and Krishna's association, nothing else. That is the highest perfection of life. This verse specifically mentions the personalist devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna. These devotees in Krishna consciousness achieve the highest perfection of life. In other words, they are the supreme souls.
Bhagavad Gita 8.16 Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartino arjuna mamuptya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Brahma Bhuvanat, up to the Brahmaloka planet, Loka, the planetary systems, Puna, again, Avartina, returning, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Mam, unto me, Upetya, arriving, two, but, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Puna Janma, rebirth, Na, never, Vidyate, takes place. Translation. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Purport. All kinds of yogis, karma, jnana, hatha, etc., eventually have to attain devotional perfection in bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness before they can go to Krishna's transcendental abode and never return. Those who attain the highest material planets, the planets of the demigods, are again subjected to repeated birth and death. As persons on earth are elevated to higher planets, people on higher planets such as Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, and Indraloka fall down to earth. The practice of sacrifice called Panchagni Vidya, recommended in the Chandogya Upanishad, enables one to achieve Brahmaloka. But if on Brahmaloka one does not cultivate Krishna consciousness, then he must return to earth. Those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets are gradually elevated to higher and higher planets, and at the same time of and at the time of universal devastation are transferred to eternal spiritual kingdom. Baladeva Vidyabhushana in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita quotes this verse. Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte pratisanchare parasyante kritamana pravishyanti parampadam. When there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotees who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires.
Chapter 8, verse 17.
सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् अहर्यद् ब्राह्मणो विदु रात्रं युगसहस्रान्तं तेहो रात्राविदो जनाः. Sahasra 1000 yuga millenniums paryantam, including aha day, yet that which Brahmana, O Brahma, Vidu, they know, Ratram, night, Yuga, millenniums, Sahasra Antam. Similarly, ending after 1000, they, Aharatra, day and night. Vidya, who understand, Jana, people. Translation. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of form the duration of Brahma's one day. And such also is the duration of his night. Purport. The duration of the material universe is limited. It is manifested in cycles of kalpas. A kalpa is a day of Brahma. And one day of Brahma consists of thousand cycles of 4 yugas or ages: Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. The cycle of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom, and religion. There being practically no ignorance and vice, and the yuga lasts 1,728,000 years. In the Treta Yuga, vice is introduced. This yuga lasts for 1,296,000 years. In the Dwapara Yuga, there is an even greater decline in decline in virtue, in religion, vice increasing, and this yuga lasts 864,000 years. And finally, in Kali Yuga, the yuga we have now been experiencing over the past 5,000 years, there is an ab- abundance of strife, ignorance, and irreligion and vice. True virtue being practically non-existent. In this yuga lasts for Kali Yuga lasts for 432,000 years. In Kali Yuga, vice increases to such a point that a termination of the yuga, the Supreme Lord Himself appears as the Kalki Avatara, and vanquishes the demon, saves his devotees, and commences another Satya Yuga. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas, rotating 1,000 times, comprise one day of Brahma. And the same number comprise one night. Brahma lives 100 of such years and then dies. These 100 years, by earth calculation, total to 311 trillion and 40 billion earth years. By these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and interminable, but from the viewpoint of eternity, it is brief as a lightning flash. In the casual ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles in the Atlantic. Brahma and his creation are all part of the material universe, and therefore they are in constant flux. In the material universe, not even Brahma is free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. Brahma, however, is directly engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord and the management of this universe. Therefore, he at once attains liberation. Elevated sannyasis are promoted to Brahma's particular planet, Brahmaloka, which is the highest planet in the material universe and which survives all the heavenly planets in the upper strata of the planetary system. But in due course, Brahma and all the inhabitants of Brahmaloka are subject to death, according to the law of material nature. Text 18. Avyaktad vyaktayah sarvah prabhavanti aharagame ratriyagame praliyante tatre Tatveyavakya Samyake. Avyakt from the avyaktat from the unmanifest. Vyaktayaha living entities, sarva all, prabhavanti becomes manifest. Aha agame at the beginning of the day, ratri agame at the fall of night, praliyante are annihilated. tatra, into that, eva, certainly, avyakta, the unmanifest, samyake, which is called. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all translation. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
Chapter 8, text 19. Bhutagrama saivayam bhuta bhutva praliyate ratriyagami vashapada prabhavanti aharagami. Bhutagrama, the aggregate of all living entities. Sa, these. Eva, certainly. I am, this. Bhutva, repeatedly taking birth. Praliyate, is annihilated. Ratri, of night. Agami, on the arrival. Avasha, automatically. Pada, O son of Parda, Pruta. Prabhavanti, is manifest. Aha, of daytime. Agame, on the arrival. Translation. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Purport. The less intelligent who try to remain within this material world may be elevated to higher planets and then again must come down to this planet Earth. During the daytime of Brahma, they can exhibit their activities on higher and lower planets within this material world. Read it inside. But at the coming of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. In the day, they receive various bodies for material activities. And at night, they no longer have bodies but remain compact in the body of Vishnu. Then again, they are manifest at the arrival of Brahma's day. Bhutva praliyate. During the day, they become manifest, and at night, they are annihilated again. Ultimately, when Brahma's life is finished, they are all annihilated and remain unmanifest for millions and millions of years. And when Brahma is born again in another millennium, they are again manifest. In this way, they are captivated by the spell of the material world. But those intelligent persons who take to Krishna consciousness uses human life fully in the devotional service of the Lord, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus, they transfer themselves, even in this life, to the spiritual planet of Krishna and become eternally blissful there, not being subject to such rebirths.
Bhagavad Gita 8.20. Parattasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nasyat sudna vinashyati. Para, transcendental. Tasmat, to that. Tu, but. Bhava, nature. Anya, another. Avyakta, unmanifest. Avyaktat, to the unmanifest. Sanatana, eternal. Yasa, that which. Sarveshu, all. Bhuteshu, manifestation. Nasyatsu, being annihilated. Na, never. Vinashyati, is annihilated. Translation. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Purport. Krishna's superior spiritual energy is transcendental and eternal. It is beyond all the changes of material nature, which is manifest and annihilated during the days and nights of Brahma. Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in quality to material nature. Superior and inferior nature are explained in the 7th chapter.
Bhagavad Gita 8.21. अव्यक्तोऽसर इति उक्ता तम् आहुं परं गतिं यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. Avyakta, unmanifested, Aksharaha, infallible, iti, thus, Ukta is said, Tam, that, Ahum is known, Paramam, the ultimate, Gatim, destination, Yam, which, Prapya, gaining, Na, never, Nirvartante, come back, Tat, that, Dhama, abode, Paramam, supreme, Mama, my. Translation: that which the Vedantis describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as a supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns. That is my supreme abode. Purport. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamani Dhama, a place where all desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavana, is full of palaces made of touchstone. There are also trees called desired trees that supply any type of eatable upon demand. There are cows known as Surabhi cows which supply a limitless supply of milk. In this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmis, and he is called Govinda, the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. The Lord is accustomed to blow his flute, Venum Kwanantam. His transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like the colors of clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty excels that thousands of cupids. He wears saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavana, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. A vivid description is given in the Brahma Samhita, Vedic literatures, Katha Upanishad 1.3.11, state that there is nothing superior to the abode of the Supreme Godhead, and that the abode is the ultimate destination. Purusham na param kinchascha katha parama gati. When one attains to it, he never returns to the material world. Krishna's supreme abode and Krishna himself are non-different, being of the same quality. On this earth, Vrindavana, 90 miles southeast of Delhi, is a replica of the supreme Goloka Vrindavana located in the spiritual sky. When Krishna descended on this earth, he spotted on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavana, comprising about 168 square miles in the district of Mathura, India.
Purushasa Purushasa Parapada Bhaktya Labhyastva Ananyaya Vasyanta Stani Bhutani Yena Sarvamidam Tatam. Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He, Para, the Supreme, the Supreme, than whom no one is greater. Parda, O son of Parda, Bhaktya, by devotional service, Labhya, can be achieved through but Ananyaya, unalloyed, undeviating. Yasya, whom, Anta, Antastani, within, Bhutani, all of this material manifestation. Yena, by whom, Sarvam, all, Idam, whatever we can see, Tatam is pervaded. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is unattainable. I said attainable. Attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading, and everything is situated within him. Purport. It is clearly here stated that the supreme destination from which there is no return is the abode of Krishna, the Supreme Person, the Supreme Person, the Supreme Person. The Brahma Samhita describes this supreme abode as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, as place where everything is full of spiritual bliss, all bliss. All the variegatedness manifest there is of the quality of spiritual bliss. Nothing there is material. The variegatedness is expanded as the spiritual expansion of the Supreme Godhead Himself. For the manifestation there is totally of spiritual energy as explained in chapter 7. As far as this material world is concerned, although the Lord always is the supreme abode, he is nonetheless all pervading by his material energy. So by his spiritual and material energies, he is present everywhere, both in the material and in the spiritual universes. Yastyantastani means that everything is sustained within him, within either his spiritual or material energy. The Lord is all pervading by these two energies. To enter Krishna's supreme abode or the innumerable Vaikunta planets is possible only by bhakti, devotional service. As clearly indicated here by the word bhakta, no other process can help attain that supreme abode. The Vedas Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.21 also described this supreme abode and the supreme personality of Godhead. Eko Vasi Sarvaga Krishna is the abode that there is. In that abode there is only one supreme personality of Godhead, whose name is Krishna. He is the super merciful deity, supreme merciful deity, and although situated there as one, he has expanded himself into millions and millions of plenary expansions. The Vedas compare the Lord to a tree, standing still yet bearing many varieties of fruits, flowers, and changing leaves. The plenary expansions of the Lord who preside over the Vaikunta planets are four-armed, and they are known by a variety of names: Purushottama, Vikrama, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Rishikesha, Sankarshana, Pradyamna, Siddhara, Vasudeva, the Modara, Janardana, Narayana, Vamana, Padma, Padmanabha, etc. The Brahma Smita 5.37 also confirms that that's what he said. Confirms that although the Lord is always in the supreme abode, Goloka Vrindavan, he is all pervading. So that everything is going on nicely. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhuta. As stated in the Vedas, Svatara Upanishad 6.8, Parasya Saktir Vividaiva Shuryate Svabhaviki Jnana Bala Krityacha. His energies are so expansive that they systematically conduct everything in the cosmic manifestation without a flaw, although the Supreme Lord is far, far away. 8.23
यत्र काले त्वा अनावृत्तिम् आवृत्तिं चैव योगिना प्रयातयान्ति तं कालं वक्ष्यामि भरतर्षभ. Yatra, at which, kale, time, tu, and, anavrittim, no return, avrittim, return, cha, also, eva, certainly, yoginaha, different kinds of mystics, prayata, having departed, yanti, attain, tham, that, kalam, time, vakshyami, I shall describe, Bharatarshaba, O best of the Bharatas. Translation. O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. Purport. The unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are totally surrendered souls, do not care when they leave their bodies or by what method. They leave everything in Krishna's hands and so easily and happily return to Godhead. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on such methods of spiritual realization as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga must leave the body at a suitable time in order to be sure of whether or not they will return to the world of birth and death. If the yogi is perfect, he can select the time and situation for leaving this material world. But if he is not so expert, his success depends on his accidentally passing away at a certain suitable time. The suitable times at which one passes away and does not come back are explained by the Lord in the next verse. According to Acharya Baladeva Vidyabhushana, the Sanskrit word kala used herein refers to the presiding deity of time.
Bhagavad Gita 8.24 Agnir Jyotir Aha Sukla Manmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vidojana. Agni, fire, Jyoti, light, Aha, day, Sukla, the white fortnight, Satmasa, the 6 months, Uttarayanam, when the sun passes on the northern side, Tatra, there, Prayatha, those who pass away, Gachanti, go, Brahma, to the absolute, Brahma Vidha, who know the absolute, Jana, persons. Translation. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery God in the light. At an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. Purport. When fire, light, day, and the fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that over all of them there are various preceding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. At the time of death, the mind carries one on the path to a new life. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possible for him to attain the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Mystics who are advanced in yoga practice can arrange the time and place to leave the body. Others have no control. If by accident they leave at an auspicious moment, then they will not return to the cycle of birth and death. But otherwise, there is every possibility that they will have to return. However, for the pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning, whether he leaves the body at an auspicious or inauspicious moment by accident or arrangement.
8.25 धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्ण सन्मासा दक्षिणायनम तत्र चंद्रमासं ज्योतिर्योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते. धूमा smoke, ratri night, tatha also Krishna the fortnight of the dark moon, Satmasa the 6 months, Dakshinayanam when the sun passes on the southern side, Tatra there, Chandramasam the moon planet, Jyoti the light, Yogi the mystic, Prapya achieving, Nivartate comes back. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet but again comes back. Purport. In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapil Muni mentions that those who are expert in fruitive activities and sacrificial methods on earth attain to the moon at death. These elevated souls live on the moon for about 10,000 years by demigod calculations and enjoy life by drinking somras. They eventually return to earth. This means that on the moon there are higher classes of living beings, though they may not be perceived by gross senses. 26.
शुक्लकृष्णे गति होते जगतः शाश्वते मते एक्यायाद्यनावृत्ते मन्याववर्तते पुनः. Shukla, light, Krishna, and darkness, Gati, ways of passing. He, certainly, Ite, these two, Jagataha, of the material world, Shashwate, of the Vedas, Mate, in the opinion, Ekaya, by one, Yati, goes, Anavratim, to no return, Anaya, by the other, Avartate, comes back, Punaha, again. According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he doesn't come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Purport. The same description of departure and return is quoted by Acharya Baldev Vidyabhushana from the Chandogya Upanishad 5.10.3-5. Those who are fruitive laborers and philosophical speculators from time immemorial are constantly going and coming. Actually, they do not attain ultimate salvation, for they do not surrender to Krishna.
Your turn before me. 27. 8.27. नैते श्रुति पारद ज्ञानान् जानन् योगी मोह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगो युक्तो भवर्जनु Bhavarjana. No, never. These two Shruti, different paths. Parda, O son of Parda. O son of Parda. Jnana. Jana. Janan. Even if he knows. Yogi, the devotee of the Lord. Mohyati is bewildered. Kaschana. Any. Tasmat, therefore, Sarveshu Kaleshu, always. Yoga Yukta. Engaged in Krishna consciousness. Bhava, just become. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Translation. Although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, they be always fixed in devotion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Krishna is here advising Arjuna that he should not be disturbed by the different paths the soul can take when leaving the material world. The devotee of the Supreme Lord should not worry whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. The devotee should be firmly established in Krishna consciousness and chant Hare Krishna. He should know that concern over either of these two paths is troublesome. The best way to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness is to be always devoted in his service. And this will make one's path to the spiritual kingdom safe, certain, and direct. The word Yoga Yukta is especially significant in this verse. One who is firm in yoga is constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness in all his activities. Sri Rupa Goswami advises Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjatha. One should be unattached in material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called Yukta Vairagya, one attains perfection. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions because he knows that his passage to the supreme abode is guaranteed by devotional service. 8.28.
He said 38. Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tatsarvam idam viditva yogi param sthana upaiti chadyam. Vedeshu, in the study of the Vedas. Yajneshu, in the performance of yajna, sacrifice. Tapashu, in undergoing different types of austerities. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Daneshu, in giving charities. Yat, that which. Punya phalam, result of pious work. Pradishtam, indicated. Atyeti, surpasses. Tat sarvam, all those. Idam, this. Viditva, knowing. Yogi, the devotee. Param, supreme. Sthanam, abode. Upaiti, achieves. Cha, also. Adyam, original. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. Purport. This verse is a summation of the 7th and 8th chapters, which particularly deal with Krishna consciousness and devotional service. One has to study the Vedas under the guidance of the spiritual master and undergo many austerities and penances while living under his care. A brahmachari has to live in the home of the spiritual master just like a servant, and he must beg alms from door to door and bring them to the spiritual master. He takes food only under the master's order, and if the master neglects to call a student for food that day, the student fasts. These are some of the Vedic principles for observing brahmacharya. After the student studies the Vedas under the master for some time, at least from age 5 to 20, he becomes a man of perfect character. Study of the Vedas is not meant for the recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. After this training, the brahmachari is allowed to enter into household life and marry. When he is a householder, he has to perform many sacrifices so that he may achieve further enlightenment. He must also give charity according to the country, time, and candidate, discriminating among charity in goodness, in passion, and in ignorance, as described in Bhagavad Gita. Then, after retiring from household life, upon accepting the order of Vanaprastha, he undergoes severe penances, living in forests, dressing with tree bark, not shaving, etc. By carrying out the orders of brahmacharya, household life, vanaprastha, and finally sannyasa, one becomes elevated to the perfectional stage of life. Some are then elevated to the heavenly kingdoms, and when they become even more advanced, they are liberated in the spiritual sky, either in the impersonal Brahmajyoti or in the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Loka. This is the path outlined by Vedic literatures. The beauty of Krishna consciousness, however, is that by one stroke, by engaging in devotional service, one can surpass all the rituals of the different orders of life. The words idam viditva indicate that one should understand the instructions given by Sri Krishna in this chapter and the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One should try to understand these chapters not by scholarship or mental speculation, but by hearing them in association with devotees. Chapters 7 through 12 are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 and the last 6 chapters are like coverings for the middle 6 chapters, which are especially protected by the Lord. If one is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita, especially these middle 6 chapters in the association of devotees, then his life at once becomes glorified beyond all penances, sacrifices, charities, speculations, etc. For one can achieve all the results of these activities simply by Krishna consciousness.
One who has faith, a little faith in Bhagavad Gita, should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because in the beginning of the 4th chapter, it is stated clearly that Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees. No one else perfectly understand the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna, not from the mental speculators. This is a sign of faith. When one searches for a devotee and fortunately gets a devotee association, one actually begins to study and understand the Bhagavad Gita. By advancement in the association of the devotee, one is placed in devotional service. In this service dispels all one's misgivings about Krishna or God, and Krishna's activities from pastimes, name and form, pastimes, name, and other features. After these misgivings have been perfectly cleared away, one becomes fixed in one's study. Then one relishes to the study of Bhagavad Gita and attains the state of feeling always Krishna conscious. In this advanced stage, one falls completely in love with Krishna. This highest perfectional stage of life enables the devotee to be transferred to Krishna's abode in the spiritual sky, Goloka Vrindavana, where the devotee becomes eternally happy. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports to the 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the matter of attaining the Supreme. The most confident. Chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. I know. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, ready? Shri Guru Cherana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Mandamuyi Savadana Mate Jehara Prasade Bhai E Bhava Turiya Jai Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hote Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Kya Arana Koriha Mani Asha Sri Guru Cherani Rati Aise Uttama Gati Abhi Jai Prasadi Pure Sarva Asha चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित, प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाशा जाते, विधि गाय जहाँ रचरितो, श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदामा जे नारा बंद, लोकनाथ लोके राजीवाना, आह प्रभु कोरो दोया देहा मोरे पादा छाया, इबिजास गुसुक त्रिभुवाना, श्रील प्रभुपाद पतित पावाना,
प्रभुपाद पतित पावाना,
जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद,
प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद,
जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा,
गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा, गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा,
नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले, श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्यति नामिने,
ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले, श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने,
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे, निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे,
सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे, निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चादिशतारिणे,
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैता गणधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा,
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गणधर शिवचरित गौर भक्त वृंदा,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare.
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
By lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Lokanath Goswami, O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Hare Krishna.